Video walkthrough on Coachmen Freelander. Start in the back. Got plenty of storage here, access from either side, back or driver's side. Sewer caps come off. That's going to be the perfect place to store your sewer hose on the bumper cap. On the bumper, just take these caps off. Oh, it looks like there looks to be already one from the previous owner. You can choose to keep that one, or if you want to buy a new one, you can definitely do that. Other access to that storage. Plenty of storage. Short cord. That's where this short cord comes out. You can stuff it in there when you're done, and then you can even pivot this to the side. Goes there like that. It keeps it neat. Nothing will kind of get in there. Then when you're ready, open it up, stuff it back in there. City water input. This is where you hook your city water into. And you won't have to run off a pump. You can run off of city water pressure. Right next to that, you have a black tank flush. You can hook your hose up to there. That way, as you're dumping your black tank, there's a little nozzle in there that'll spray it out as you're dumping. Above that, cable inlet. So if you're going somewhere that provides cable, you can hook it up through there. And then speaking of black tanks, right underneath here, that's your dump station. So the gray handles, obviously your gray tank, black one's your black tank. Always make sure these handles are closed all the way before you take your cap off. And then I always recommend doing your black tank first. Once that's all the way empty, doing your gray tank. That'll flush out that hose. That way when you carry it around to put it in its storage, you don't have to worry about anything dripping and getting on you. Water heater. So the only thing you'll have to do when you're ready to use it, just put this plug in the drain hole. 15/16 is the socket size. Get it started by hand. I use a little short socket with an extension so I can tighten it up. Don't over tighten it because it is plastic. And once it's in, as soon as you hook up water to it, whether it's from city or your fresh tank, it'll start automatically filling. Then you go to turn it on. Now I definitely recommend draining it after every trip. So before you drain it, before you pull that plug out, crack your pressure relief. Water will start coming out. When water stops coming out, you can snap it closed. Then you'll be able to pull your drain plug out. If you neglect to do that, you're going to get a bath. And if you've been running it, you're going to get a hot bath. And then keep it clean in here. Keep it clean in there. Pretty simple right there. More storage underneath here. And right here you have, basically it's like a tire valve. So you can inflate the airbags so it can raise and lower. And then access to your generator so you can perform maintenance. You can also start and stop it from out here, but your main controls to start and stop are on the inside. We'll go over the cab when we get inside. You have a spot for a TV out here if you'd like one. GFCI protected outlet. All your GFCI outlets are on the same circuit, so if one were to trip, they're all going to trip. And this is where you would plug your TV in for cable access. Down there, you're pre-wired for solar. You have to buy the solar kit, which would then hook in there. And that basically just will allow you to trickle charge your batteries off of solar. Propane. Right there, you can read this gauge right there, and then you have all the way on is all the way to the left. On is all the way to the left, off is all the way to the right. Don't like open it halfway thinking it's gonna save you some propane. It works all the way on or all the way off. Other side to this side for your tires, for that, not to inflate the tires, but to the airbag, so it's got softer suspension, depending on if you have more weight in the back, or stiffer softer if you have less weight, stiffer if you have more weight. Exhaust for your furnace. Just keep it clean in here. Clean it often. Similar with your fridge back here. Clean up in there often. I even recommend a couple times a year, maybe even just taking this off and cleaning back there. Another GFCI protected outlet. And then storage back here. Alright, we'll head on to the inside now. Oh, one thing before we forgot on the outside. Exterior range vent. If you're cooking on your range, this is where it's gonna allow everything to vent out of. Come on in here. Controls for your awning. Does not stop automatically when it's out. When you see the bare tube like that, then you're all the way up. Let's see if we can get the flaps to come down. Oh, it's been rolled up a little too for a while, so there's a flap in there that kind of conformed to the shape. The more you use it, the better it'll get. They are adjustable, so you can pitch it down because you see as it's getting closer and farther. Then you tighten that knob, so you can lower one end for pitch. So if it's raining, you can have water run off kind of to the corner rather than all the way along the edge. Now, if you roll it in wet, as soon as you get there's a chance to roll, as it's sunny and dry out, roll it back out, because if it starts raining real bad, I definitely recommend rolling this in. The big gust of wind could break something, so you would roll it in, and then as soon as it gets dry out, roll it back out. So we'll leave it out now because it's a little damp to let it dry out right now. Main switch for your main light. Main little lights in here, and then switch right here for porch light right there. It's pretty dang bright. Then you have your battery disconnect, so if you turn it off, now it's disconnecting your battery from everything. So let's say you had it closed up and you forgot a light and you didn't want to come in here, open it back up again and turn the light off. You can disconnect the battery. This does charge when it's plugged in, but if you had your battery disconnected, the charge won't reach the battery, so it won't be charging the battery. So if you want it stored and you have it plugged in so it can keep the battery charged, turn it on and just make sure you have all your lights off. Right next to that, breaker box. All your breakers for your 120 volt appliances, all your fuses for 12 volt. So you have an assortment of fuses. I definitely recommend getting like an assorted box so you can have some spares. Controls for everything. Your slide room, which is the slide out right there. So hit out. It'll go out. And with these types of slides, as you might have been able to hear it, even though it was all the way out, I held the out button for 5 extra seconds, and that's what's going to allow the 2 motors, because there's one on each side, it allows them to stay in sync. Then you have controls for your water pump. So if you're pulling from your onboard fresh tank, which I think I forgot to show you how to fill, so we'll go back out, and forgive me for jumping everywhere. Your fresh fill is where is the fresh fill on this to fill your onboard fresh tank? Give me a moment. Alright, I found it. Now, I was incorrect earlier. This one right here is your fresh tank fill. So you hook your hose up to here, it'll fill your onboard fresh tank. So, I mentioned earlier that this was a black tank flush. This is what you do to fill your onboard fresh tank. Now we can go back to what we were doing. We were talking about the water pump. Turn that on if you're going to pull from your fresh tank. Then you have it controls for your water heater on gas. Turn it on. This light will come on, and then once it's lit, it should come off. And if it just runs on gas, the burner on it will cycle on and off to regulate its temperature. Set controls for your slide out generator. You can start and stop your generator from here. So you hold stop. Once that blue light turns on, then you can hit start, and it'll start the generator. You can also hit this button right here, which will prime it too. But you can also hit and hold stop, which primes it. And then it reads your hours down there. Then you have your monitoring panel. You can read how full your propane is. battery, fresh, black, gray. And then auxiliary, you don't have an auxiliary tank on this. That's pretty much it for up there. Talk about here. Got your fold out TV there. You just loosen these. Loosen this knob up here. You can swing the TV out and be able to watch TV. All the cables, inputs are right there. And you have right here this little green light. That's your booster for your antenna. So if you're watching it off your antenna, make sure that light's on. There's a little button underneath it. If you're hooked through onboard cable, turn that up, turn that off. Simple, simple, simple. This does flip up and will move out of your way to give you more headroom underneath. Your cab, it's pretty much like a basic Ford cab. You have cruise control. Those are your lights. It does not have daytime running lights, so you have to have your lights on like that. You got your radio here. Go back to radio. Get your radio. That's your radio. Hit and hold presets there. You can go home again. You can do through your SD card or CD player. You can hit Bluetooth. You can do your Bluetooth, USB music. You can change the brightness of there. You go to settings here. Time is, and then right here, hit the camera. That gives you your backup camera, so you can have it so it's always on. Then you have volume. You can also cycle through modes here. Go back to the menu here. Very easy to use. This is where your AV and then your USB hookup is there, right there, an SD card. The trick about these radios, though, is your battery disconnect needs to be on for your radio to work. So if you don't want your lights to be on when you're driving down the road, turn them all off and then leave your battery disconnect on. That's what's going to allow your radio to work. Yeah, the cab's very basic, very simple. If you've driven any Ford or any box truck, really, this should be pretty easy to drive. Especially with being able to have the backup camera always on so you can see behind you, which is nice because some people like to tailgate, and it's nice to be able to see behind you during a turn. So this does slide out right here. You can then take your table right there, rest it down on here. It'll rest on here, rest over there too. Then you just reorganize your cushions, and then it turns this area to a sleeping area. If you want to use it back as a living area, you can close that and then set that back up as a table. And it's just really easy. These legs just pop out. Got a little CD player that's going to be hooked to your TV in there. Plenty of storage. I'm looking for, actually. Let's see what's in here. Yep. Remote for your radio, or for your TV. Moving along. Microwave. That's only going to work if you're plugged in or off your generator. And this is what I was telling you about. If you're going to run the fan, it vents out the outside. That vent I was showing you. Just make sure you keep it clean. And the light there as well. Cooktop, super simple to use. Turn it to light. Click, twist the sparker, and it lights. Your oven's a little differently. You have to push it onto pilot. Push and hold. As you're pushing and holding, let's see if we can't get this light on. Oh. You have to manually light that pilot right there. Once the pilot is lit, you can turn it to the temperature you want it set to. And then you'll be able to go. If you turn it off and then leave it to pilot, it shuts the burners off but leaves the pilot on. But make sure you turn it off before you go to bed. You don't want to lit pilot every night. Got a light switch right here. Turn on this hallway light. Right above that is your thermostat. So you have fan mode, auto, high, and low. Auto is going to regulate whatever temperature you have it set at. That's what I recommend using. So if you have your AC set to 60, once it hits 60, it'll shut off and then cycle on and off to help regulate that. Hit it again. Back to your AC, which I do believe goes all the way to 55. Yep. And then furnace goes all the way to 90. Hit it again, turns it off. Very simple. Plenty of storage up over here too. Come in here. Light switch for in the bedroom. So when you have your slide out, when you're operating a slide out, you want your bed set up like this because it closes all the way tight to the wall. When you're ready to use your bed, you just flip it. Now you have a nice big bed. Like I said, make sure you flip it back up before you close your slide out. You got plenty of storage above the bed with a light there too. And then Outlets over here. Plenty of storage here. Looks like the previous owners added these shelves. That's nice for like shoes, or if you could fold your shirts up, set them in there. Yeah. Spot for a TV in here. You'd have to buy a TV, but it has them out already here, as well as your GFCI protected outlet and coax output. The only reason that outlet is GFCI because it's so close to the window and this bathroom area. Any outlet within 6 feet of a water source is required to be GFCI. We'll come into the bathroom. Get your light switch for the bathroom right here. Very nice bathroom. With your folding shower doors. When you are traveling, make sure they are closed. They do magnet close. And then you make sure you hit this latch. That's going to prevent it from opening up on you. Sink, very basic. Toilet, even more basic. You have a pedal right underneath here where my foot is. As long as you're pushing that, it's going to keep flushing. You have a GFCI right here with the reset button on it. So all your GFI outlets that were to trip, this is the outlet you come and reset it at. Yeah, very basic in here. You have a crank up vent there with a fan. Definitely recommend that if you're taking a hot shower. Keep the moisture off these walls. Fridge, you have on and off, auto or gas. Auto is going to default to 110. If you're plugged in, that's what it's going to use. If someone were to trip over the power cord or campground were to lose power, this will switch automatically to running off of propane. That way you won't, let's say that happened where you had it parked at the campground, but you were away doing something. That way when you come back, your food won't be spoiled. These do work a little bit differently than your regular fridge. They do take about 6 to 8 hours to get to operating temperature. So if you have the ability to plug it in the night before and then let it get cold, and then you can have it running on propane when you're going down the road, or you could even have your generator on when you're going down the road and having it running off your generator. Do have your antenna crank up right here, so you crank it up this way. You can feel when it stops, so just keep going. I can feel it getting close. Oh, there we go. And then if you want to tune in the channel, pull this down, twist your antenna. You can hear it turning. If you pull it down too far, it's just going to twist in place. So just pull it down slightly, you'll feel it catch. So you can tune in your antenna. And then when you're ready, you crank it down. Alright, and that pretty much concludes your video tour of your Coachmen Freelander. Enjoy!